SuperTalk Mississippi media production. Pike County, here comes your morning show. Dave in the morning on 93.5 FM, SuperTalk Mississippi.
So now, understand, you're not going to dictate to me what I do and what I don't do, but I'm still the mayor, Mr. Brown.
None of this meeting is recorded. None by any parties. Correct?
No, sir, mine is recorded. I'm being accused.
Any conversation.
Said I want to make it on record. I want the allegations in writing, party accused, party on recording of this harassment.
And now, here's your host, Dave Hughes.
Good morning to you. Another gorgeous, actually more gorgeous than normal. That front came through and we're in business. We're also not in Florida, which makes it a really good day today, but we'll talk about that more later in the show because right now it is North Pike Thursday, brought to you by the folks at Macomb Wholesale Paper and Chad Reed, your shelter insurance agent. And we have in the studio now the All-Stars of Pike County. That's your official name. It's like Batman and Robin is the dynamic duo. You two are the All-Stars.
My wife has other things that she likes to call me every once in a while, but we're not going to talk about that.
Well,
All-Stars, I like that, though. I like that. It's mighty kind of you, Dave.
Once again, as we were talking off the air, there are some words we can't say on the air.
That's right.
We got Lynn Weaver, Clint Boleware from North Pike for North Pike Thursday, and we're now officially well into the school year. It doesn't feel like we should be, but we are.
I know it. Almost to October. Golly, how did we get here?
We've got first 9 weeks grades coming out.
Yeah, next week.
Next week.
I guess.
And it seems ridiculous, but that's where we're at.
How did we? It seems like I go to bed every night and 2 weeks passes before I wake up.
It's getting faster and faster and faster.
Does it just mean we're getting older, or I don't know what that all means?
Okay,
let's
not talk about that.
We can't talk about that.
Mr. Weaver's dismissed.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Clint, I feel you join me in this. Lynn, get out.
That's right.
Just you can go now. You're right, which is usually the easiest way to get punished. Now, let's talk about what's going on. We got the first 9 weeks grades coming out. Got a big grade for the North Pike School District, though.
Big grade.
Put a smile on everybody's face.
Our district is an A. And A, the entire district is an A, which is first time in North Pike history that we've been an A. So we're really, really proud of it.
We're super proud of the work, first of all, that the students have done. Students grabbed hold of this idea with us. Our school board set a task in front of us a couple of years ago that they wanted to have an A school district by, I believe it was 2026. If I'm not, I don't remember. It was all part of the strategic plan. It didn't matter because we started to work that day, working towards that goal. The students grabbed hold of it. All the faculty, staff, administration jumped behind it and said, "Yeah, we can do this." And we've got incredible leadership. The students really, like I said, have worked their tail off. And as much as we would like to celebrate the accomplishments of our faculty and staff, we got to put it on the students. They did the work. And, I think what we're going to see in Pike County in the very near future is the change in expectation education-wise should help in a lot of areas. Number one, I really hope that it helps in economic development. We all know that one of the first things that any major employer is going to look at is the shape of your schools. With schools moving in the proper direction, all the way across the county. I think that's going to help. Certainly what Southwest has to offer is a huge asset. So hopefully that will help move, this area in another direction again, much more positive.
I told you he had a whole speech on it. So
yeah.
That's why we let him take it.
He had a prepared statement.
That's right. He practiced it in the mirror.
Right.
Now, one thing I do want to pull out of there that you just said that I think is very important, and it ties into something that I talk about all the time. You said the expectation of excellence.
Yes.
There's a lot of different ways to phrase that for a lot of different situations. One of my favorite ones is dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Mm-hmm. That perception, attitude, goals, expectations, that's probably the most powerful thing you can do to make things better.
I think so. I think getting complacent in what you have, or the expectation that this is just what it is dangerous. Rarely do people move forward from there. They always move backwards. And I think the reason that happens is that the world keeps spinning and the world keeps moving in its own direction. And if you don't jump on board, then it just becomes something else. And we've seen the decline in the Mississippi Delta. We've seen the decline in other areas of just where economic development was not moved forward. Whenever you look, the Delta, for example, I'm a Delta boy, my feet are flat. You know how that works. Whenever the agri-based economy started dwindling just because of sheer numbers of people that it took to make it happen, that's when you saw the decline of the Delta. It's still the same ground. It's still the same people. It's still the same everything, except they didn't start looking for other revenues or other ways to keep the Mississippi Delta relevant. And along with that came, of course, the flight of people. People moved out because there was no opportunity. Hopefully, with all the school district or all the districts moving in that direction, we can entice some other people to invest in this area and invest in our students.
Well, the big tire plant that came into Clinton a few years ago, one of their main selling points to move into that area of Hinds County was Clinton Public Schools were so successful. So hopefully it will help the economic development in this area, on top of a host of other things. So, so we're excited for the kids. We're excited for our faculty and staff, our superintendent, Dr. Jay Smith, and Mr. Scott Hallmark, who's the associate superintendent, and our school board do a absolutely wonderful job with just the plan, setting the plan in place, challenging the administration, the students, and the teachers,
and giving us the tools.
Yes, definitely.
So that's the deal.
Keep in mind, when you roll out of bed in the morning, you have already basically started the process of establishing what kind of day you're going to have. When you open your eyes, same thing applies here. Same thing applies at your job. Same thing applies with your kids when you're raising them at home.
Sure.
The attitude you start out with and the goals you start out with determine how far you can go with success at whatever you're doing.
Exactly. It's one of the first A's I've ever made.
Well,
my mom was so proud.
you didn't even have to forge anybody's signature on the progress report.
That's
I mean, this
exactly
is
right,
good.
Man. I'm excited.
Nothing wrong with that. Now, talking about excited, how's band going this year?
The North Pike, Pride of Pike County Band is doing absolutely wonderful. We're about 130 strong this year in our high school program. Our halftime production this year is called Dear Mama. And it is a salute to the moms across the world and the hard work that they do and put in raising children. And I think about all throughout when we're rehearsing the show how my mother raised a wild kid. My sister, I was a great. My sister was wonderful. So, but we're gonna open it up with Ozzy Osbourne's "Mama, I'm Coming Home." And then we moved into Three Dog Night's Mama Told Me Not to Come. We're doing Dolly Parton's Coat of Many Colors. There's going to be a little snippet of LL Cool J's Mama Said Knock You Out. It might show up and disappear just as quick as it showed up. And then we're closing with Motley Crue's Home Sweet Home. So it's just a salute to Mama and everything that a mom had to go through raising a kid. So yeah, the kids are excited about it. They've embraced the show. There's a lot of theatrics, and we got some smoke
visual components.
Got some smoke machines we're putting in there. We got all sorts of stuff. I mean, we went wild with it, and the kids are having a lot of fun with it. They're doing good work with it. They've embraced the concept, and it's going really well.
One of the best freshman groups that we've had in many, many years. Just really upstanding, good kids. Honestly, we had a student this morning talk about, or ask me, she said, is it really going as well as I feel like it is? I said, well, yeah. She said, well, it must be going pretty good because Boleware hadn't thrown a fit yet.
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
the kids seem to mark, that she's a senior, so she knows, but it's honestly going really well, and we're really, really proud of those kids and what they're doing.
So what, did you cut his caffeine back? Did you swap him to decaffeinated and not tell him?
No, I started adding caffeine in the afternoon.
And that's what it is.
Yeah, we meet, after lunch. So
that's right. So one of the best groups of kids we've had yet, and so we're really proud of the work they're doing. We go to contest. Our first contest is at Pike Academy on October the 5th, coming up in a couple of weeks, and then we're actually traveling to Hoover, Alabama this year on October the 19th to do the big festival over there. So we're excited about that. It's our first time to go to Hoover, and my philosophy with that is, we've been doing the same couple of contests for years and years and years, and the kids need to see something different. They need to experience other places. They need to see other bands that they've never seen before, meet new people, different things like that. So we're excited to go over to Hoover and see what those guys have to offer, and learn as much as we can learn, and experience a lot of things that they don't get to experience around here.
Well, I think it's important that our students see other students their same age doing things differently, but doing the same thing.
Yes.
And Hoover will give us that opportunity. It's not as much about the competition side of it as it is exposure. They need to see things. We don't get the chance to see a lot of different styled bands here just because of the state of Mississippi. We all do basically the same thing. And getting out of our comfort zone and going and seeing another area of the country and seeing what they offer over there. And believe it or not, marching band's a little different in Alabama. Now, granted, with that contest being placed where it's at, there will be a lot of Mississippi bands there also. But to be able to see what Alabama students are doing is pretty important, I think.
Well, and I think, that's obviously going to be an exciting trip for the entire band, but I would suspect the seniors and the juniors, but definitely the seniors are thrilled because their schedule usually for 4 years is go to Copiah, go to Pearl, go to Copiah, go to Pearl, go to Copiah, go to Pearl. And then you throw Hoover at them.
Yeah,
it's kind of shaking it up a little bit. I like that.
When we first mentioned it, the kids were like, "Oh, okay." Of course,
what are we doing?
And even some of the parents were like, well, "What are we doing here?" But when you explain it to them, they understand the goal and where we're trying to get with the kids. So so it's going to be fun. I hope it's going to be fun. We'll try to make it as positive as we can, and it'll be good for those Hoover kids to see these Pike County kids come along, and hopefully we'll
because we do own instruments too.
Yeah, we'll show those folks from Alabama.
Exactly, a lot of people seem to think that marching band in the state of Mississippi stops at Hattiesburg or stops somewhere around Pearl. And those of us in Southwest Mississippi, I don't really know what they think we do, but we do have great kids, and we do have instruments, and we
tell people all the time, we're the best band you've never heard of.
Don't get me started on the disrespect towards Southwest Mississippi.
Can you understand?
Well, it's just every category.
It is just as prevalent in what we do too, and it's frustrating. It's almost comical at times whenever our kids show up and they do as well as they do, because everybody's looking around going, where are these uniforms from?
Yeah, where'd y'all come from? Well, we've been here the whole time, buddy. So yeah.
Yeah, and then you just want to take your drink, dump it on the top of their head, and walk away.
Yeah, well, we take it out on them on the field and show them what the pride of Pike County can do.
Yeah, unless you forget one day to increase his caffeine intake in the afternoon, then the drink dumping is on the table.
They could get a drink dunk, if there's no caffeine in the afternoon.
As I put it to you before we came on the air, Lynn, slinging sharp sticks, how's that going?
Going well. We don't really get started until December because archery is considered a spring sport, and with that, I'll have my tryouts and do all that in December, and then we really technically can't shoot the first arrow until we get back from the Christmas break. But they do allow me to have practices to set the team and to get all that done. So we'll do that in December, and then we'll get it rolling again. Good season last year. Looking to improve some things. Archery, and I probably said it on the air before, it's really a strange sport in that there's not a youth league or anything like that for archery. So it takes a while for these students to find their groove in that sport. They've got to figure out all the little things because, we start day one with, this is the bow, and we start with these are the parts of the bow, and that's where it starts with them in junior high. And hopefully by the time they get to the 10th, 11th grade, they've kind of got it figured out. That's probably the most fun part of it for me. I enjoy watching them grow. I enjoy watching them get better.
Now, you're trying to tell me there are no travel archery teams?
There are none. Okay. Now, you laugh, and we say that facetiously, but they do exist in Kentucky. They do exist in Tennessee. Some of the world champions come from those kind of places. And whenever you start to look at, the bigger states with FFA and some of the other organizations that do offer archery, 4-H, it starts really young, and those kids compete at a really young age through those programs. We just don't have that in this state, not as organized to that level. So, there's travel archery teams other places.
Well, I'm going to ask a question I already know the answer to, which is the secret to interviewing, by the way.
That's
you always ask a question you already know the answer to and get them to say it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put it in a slightly different way. When it comes to archery and being successful and being able to hit the target and everything else, what percentage of that skill is mental?
90%, probably more. And that's another beautiful thing about archery. You don't have to be a super athlete to be successful. You've got to be mentally strong in a way that a lot of athletes do not understand. It's really hard to explain until you experience the sport, but it's 90% of it or more is mental. The mental mastery of archery is a entire conversation unto itself. I've probably read 20 books on that. There's people that specialize in it. There's sports psychologists that specialize in it. So yes, you're correct. It's huge.
Now, you said that about the physical conditioning, and it's more of a mental sport than it is a physical sport. You don't have to be a top tier athlete. I just want to throw this out here real quick. Going back to Clint, you do have to be in shape to be in the marching band.
Yeah. There's a physical aspect there that is more than most people probably want to believe. But yeah, we have a lot of freshmen that'll show up, and after the first day of camp, they'll say, "Oh my goodness gracious! I mean,
look at the time! I gotta go."
Yeah, right. And so we do our best to work them into that and build their stamina up. We used to say we were going to do a program called Body by Marching Band, because to see some of these kids when they walk in July, and then to look at them when football season's over around November. They literally have slimmed up, they have shaped up, they have better muscle tone and things like that. So there is a physical aspect to it, and a lot more than people would realize.
Which makes fitting a marching band uniform interesting, I might add.
True,
because those sizes are constantly changing.
You got to get something that you have the capacity to take it in.
the drum corps world really got into the physical aspects of marching band a couple of years ago, and they did some studies. And the studies of
Coach Chris Smith is texting me right now. I'm not going to let him know. I'm not going to say what he's texting me, but yeah. Coach Smith, he's letting me know what he thinks about all this.
My guy.
That's all right. I'll text him back. Don't worry.
Just with the whole drum corps thing, they realized that the tenor players or the one of the drummers that they had did so much of their research on was actually running somewhere between, or the equivalent of running somewhere between 2.5 and 3 miles in a show, which their shows are about 20 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And what that body output was equivalent to about a 3 mile run is what they determined.
Which
means, of course, no one can run 3 miles. Even Joe Raymond can't run 3 miles in 20 minutes. But
Joe Raymond, you talking about the band director here at Southwest Mississippi Community College? He's not a good runner at all. At all.
I'm just going to go over here.
Yeah.
I am not getting in the middle of this. Oh, man, there's going to be a runner fight.
No, there's not, because I'm not. If y'all see me running, y'all better run faster.
Yeah, we're not going to run. Me and Lynn Weaver aren't running at all, I promise.
Oh, man. So you guys geared up for tomorrow night?
Yeah, yes, going to, where are we going? Columbia. Going to see our friends over at Columbia, and hopefully we'll have a good run of the show. Hopefully the Mighty Jaguars will bring us a win. And so, the kids are rip-roaring, ready to go, ready to get on the road. We've had essentially 4 home games in a row. The Park Lane game, we were the quote-unquote visitor. But
you were the visitor right here.
It was still the field here at Southwest Community College. So we are ready to get on the road to give the kids a little different scenery, if you will. So
they're excited too, and I'm excited to get things going. I'm excited for the first time in the 19 plus years, or almost 19 years that I've been at North Pike. We're going to Columbia, and it's not going to rain, which is odd.
Is that allowed?
I don't think it's allowed, because every single Columbia game since I've been here, it has rained cats and dogs.
Was there a form somebody filled out? How did you pull this off?
I don't know.
Sure, but
we're more excited about that than we are anything else.
And good temperatures to boot.
Right. So it's going to actually be fall, supposedly. I mean, at least for a day.
It's going to be nice. Tomorrow night, low of 63.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah. I think we can all settle with that 100%. Stop looking at your thing. Chris is not going to leave you alone.
I know.
We know
it's
this.
Constant. Chris is he's singing me the news here. The FCC would shut us down if I read what he's writing. So
just remember, give him the benefit of the doubt.
I know it.
He's a very slow typist.
Yes, he is. He's slow at a lot of things.
Clint Boleware, Lynn Weaver, and Strife and Discord. That's what we have every day, though. So it's not even a special guest. Always enjoy having you guys over here.
Thanks for having us.
We appreciate it.
Keep up the good work on everything that you're doing, and congratulations on the A. Yeah, you're not responsible for it, but you're part of it.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
We're proud. Thanks for having us.
Anytime. North Pike Thursday, brought to you by the folks at Macomb Wholesale Paper and Chad Reed, your shelter insurance agent. Keep it here.
Did you get us switched over to shelter insurance?
Actually, I found a deal online.
You did? Does your deal come with award-winning customer service?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Does the deal include a local agent?
Doesn't actually say.
Can we create a customized plan that fits our needs? Let's just call the local shelter agent.
For insurance that fits just right, find a shelter agent near you.
Come see me, Chad Reed, at 800 Rock Street for all of your home, auto, and life insurance needs. We're your shield, we're your shelter.
Macomb Wholesale Paper Company has been servicing our area for years with quality supplies. Macomb Wholesale Paper is your local source for supplying your office, restaurant, concession stand, or household, cleaning and janitorial supplies, food service items, and more. Got an event coming up? We offer daily rentals on popcorn machines, snowball machines, and cotton candy machines. Call 601-684-5521 or visit our new location at 1036 Gordon Covington Road in Summit. Macomb Wholesale Paper Company, delivering weekly to Macomb, Summit, and the local area.
We're from the country and we like it that way. Dr. Romance for Selman's Jewelers. For 75 years, Selman's has served the wonderful folks of this area with fine quality jewelry, watch, and giftware needs. From natural and lab-grown diamonds to baby goods, silver jewelry, and much more. Selman's Jewelers on Delaware Avenue has worked hard to provide you with quality, service, and value. Come see us today. Layaways and financing available. Selman's since 1945.
Don't miss Dave in the morning, even when you miss it the first time. You can catch it on the podcast. Missing out would be a crime. SuperTalk 93.5 is always the place to be. Wanna get the podcast version? Here, my friend, is the key. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, or just right there on the page. Dave in the morning, late at night, or anytime you have the break. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, or just right there on the page.
North Pike football is back. It's another exciting season of North Pike Jaguar football on SuperTalk Mississippi Pike County 93.5. Brought to you by Chick-fil-A, Toyota of Brookhaven, Ag Up, Exhaust Pro, Southwest Mississippi Regional Medical Center, Peterbilt of Macomb, and Lot Furniture. It's North Pike Jaguar football on the air at 93.5 FM. Available online at supertalkpikecounty.com and through your Alexa devices.
With an earthquake, birds and snakes, an airplane, and Lenny Bruce is not afraid. I have a hurricane, listen to yourself, churn world serves its own needs, dummy serve your own needs, beat it up and not speak, grunt, no strength, the ladder starts to clatter with fear, fight down, high wire in a fire, represented 7 games in the government for hire in a combat site, left and west are coming in a hurry with the furies beating down your neck.
You know, I'm going to have to disagree with this song. I suspect Lenny Bruce is a bit more nervous now. I don't think he's still alive, so it doesn't matter, but what a week. And it just keeps getting more and more ridiculous. Let's go through and discuss what happened yesterday. We have an entire show's worth of stuff to talk about from yesterday. Of course, we had the news that was released that the Macomb South Pike game will now be played at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, not 7 o'clock down at Coley Field, and no fans will be allowed. We talked about that yesterday. They have started, according to a statement put out by the Macomb School District yesterday, they've started doing searches over at the school to make sure no one has a weapon. You know, this is all stuff that's conducive to learning, right? Yeah, this is not the environment you need. You got to do something to get it under control, and I'm sorry, it's got to be severe. It's got to be quick. You can't drag this out for a few weeks and then come out with some kind of statement or punishment. By after tomorrow, it's too late to have an impact on future behavior. Let me explain. And there was in the Robert Heinlein book, Starship Troopers, which they made a movie out of it. Yeah, air quotes. Paul Verhoeven went in a completely different direction. Anyway, there's a classroom setting, And, one of the instructors in one of the classes in high school was talking about how to teach young people to behave. And in this futuristic society that they live in, you mess up, you get punished. You get convicted of drunk driving, it's 5 lashes in the public square, that kind of thing. So they get into a back and forth discussion, one student and the teacher, and finally the teacher says, "Have you ever trained a puppy?" I said, "Yeah." "Well, how do you train them? How do you housebreak them to keep them from messing up the carpet?" Said, "Well, you got to get them early, and you got to be quick. Right there, you got to watch them. You got to pay attention. And when they make a mess, you immediately rub their nose in it to make sure they know what you're fussing at them about, and then you got to smack them on the behind to put it into their brain, that thing I just showed you that I just rubbed your nose in, don't do that again." And that's how you do it. The teacher said, and again, remember, this was set in a future setting, and he was referring to the 20th century at this point, because that's when it was written. But the same still applies now. The teacher said, well, before our current system was set up, they had a different method. What about with your puppy if you just let him go anywhere, anytime he wanted, make any mess he wanted, anywhere he wanted? Occasionally you would look at him and go, cut that out. And that's it. That's all that would happen. And then one day you finally had enough, and you take and throw him in a cage and just leave him there for the next 10 years, or you just shoot him. What do you think about that method of raising a puppy? And the student in the book said, that's the craziest way of training a puppy I've ever heard of in my life. It has to be quick. It has to be severe. And by severe, I mean something that will make an impression, the punishment, something that will give them an incentive to not do it again. And I'm sorry, a statement, I know there are all sorts of regulations and laws and all of this, and that's part of our problem. But if you want my unsolicited advice, well, it doesn't matter because I got the microphone, so you're going to get it anyway. This kind of thing where you have a fight in the halls, in the classrooms at a school, as quickly as possible. You got to name names, you got to explain what they did wrong, and you've got to severely punish them. Naming names and explaining what they did, that's rubbing their nose in it. That's the rubbing their nose in it part. And then you've got to punish them. You've got to do something that gets their attention. I would like to point out, and I believe this is the case, the game got moved to 2 and closed to all fans tomorrow at the behest of South Pike, not Macomb. They were business as usual. There has to be punishment. There has to be severe punishment. There has to be the kind of punishment, and I'm not talking about beating anybody with a 2x4. No, there are other ways to punish people. Take away privileges. Take away things that they enjoy, things that matter to them. Not what matters to you, what matters to them. And you might start making some progress. Or we can just, say we're going to launch an investigation. And then in another couple of weeks, come out and say they have been disciplined. Yeah, no. I realize, by the way, and I get this argument every time I bring this up, every time I talk about this subject, somebody is going to say, well, yeah, Dave, but what you're missing is people are not puppies. And my standard response to that is, you're right. Puppies are better behaved. Puppies, in some cases, are more trainable, more teachable. You have to get them early. You have to catch them as soon as they're doing something. They have to have their nose rubbed in it, and they have to be punished in such a way that it gets their attention and burns it into their brain. Hey, I don't want to do that again. This is how the military operates. This is how they train people. Ask anybody that's been through a military training or a boot camp. This is how it works. This is how it should work. And that's the way it needs to work here. Why, yes. I am going to catch grief for saying all of this out loud. I also want to reiterate, I don't care. Somebody has to say these things out loud. Oh my goodness, the poor precious angels, we need to pray for them crowd is going to get somebody killed. You have to deal with problems as they exist. If you're driving down the road and the check engine light comes on and there's smoke coming out from under the hood, you don't stop and make sure the tires are aired up properly. You're not addressing the problem. And the problem continues to build in general, across the board, really in the whole country at this point. You want to address this? You want to see a difference, see a change? That's a key component of it. And until we do that, well, we're not going to see any change. You and I both know, we can sit here and talk about this all day long. There's a lot of people out there that are not going to do it. And partially we have become an entire society of helicopter parents. Now, let me explain why I say that. And of course, I'm Gen X. I'm elder Gen X, as they say. I'm like 2 years into the Gen X generation. But I am firmly Gen X. And I realize it's a different world, but a friend of mine I was talking to last night, her neighbor was in a panic, and they were out riding the streets in their cars looking for one of their sons, the neighbor's son, who's 12, because he left the house on his bicycle to go ride bikes, and he had been gone almost 2 hours. Apparently, they were debating calling the police, or thinking about it at least. Now, here's my question. What does that teach the kids? What mindset does that put into them? You can look after the well-being and the mental condition of the children too much, in my opinion, because it leads to problems. They don't learn how to deal with things for themselves. They don't learn how to handle adversity. They don't learn how to cope with the world as it is. And then when they see people acting up and being stupid and doing bad things that they shouldn't be doing, and then there's no real visible punishment that matters, well, it starts to look like a good idea. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen, right? Now, in the middle of all this, I have seen a lot of talk about it. I have seen a lot of buzz. Pike County Fair opened last night, going through Saturday night. They got plenty of security. And then, of course, we have the hurricane hitting in Florida. Got some friends. Got one friend, two friends, actually, but one is right there in Tallahassee. Her and her family are going to get it big time from Hurricane Helene. The other one lives in Atlanta. And it's still going to be a decent-sized storm when it passes over Atlanta, but not nearly as worried about him as I'm worried about the one, the friend who is really going to catch this like a punch to the point of the chin. I mean, just bam, as this thing moves inland. They are saying, now let me say one thing, because I've been seeing a lot of talk about, and the headlines are overdoing stuff again, as they do. A lot of talk that this is going to be a Category 5 when it makes landfall. Oh my goodness, it's going to be it's going to be the worst hurricane in the history of hurricanes ever. Nothing has ever been this bad. You know, the same thing we say about everything. I'm not convinced. If you look at the computer models and you look at the forecasting, the majority of the models, and hold on, I'm pulling up the latest edition of that right now, the intensity guidance. The majority of the models have this storm getting right around Cat 3, minimal Cat 3. That is in no way the same as a Category 5. But you got one outlier model showing it could be a Category 5, and all of a sudden that's the headline everybody runs with. You know how this works. We've talked about this many times. So it's going to be bad. Don't misunderstand. This is going to cause years of cleanup over on the panhandle of Florida. It will. Category 5? It could, but not completely convinced yet. Maximum sustained winds right now are 100 miles per hour. It's making landfall in about 10 hours, 9 hours. It's forecast to make land, because it's moving 12 miles an hour to the northeast. It's giving it the gas. So it's not going to have as long a time. If this thing was moving at 3 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour, yeah, Category 5 would be a definite possibility because of the warmth of the Gulf water. Now, having said all of this, I know this is going to sound weird, but do not be surprised if you start seeing Florida tags over the next few days right here in Pike County. Because, folks, most of the smart ones got out yesterday or the day before. If they live close to the beach, they're already on their way somewhere. They went someplace. Some of them because of family, because of whatever, friends, just having been here before and loved it, will find themselves in Pike County. We know the routine. We have been dealing with hurricane evacuees for our entire lives. Treat them nicely, tip your hat. If they ask if, where's the such and such, do what you always do. Be helpful. They're having a bad week. Keep that in mind. Wouldn't expect us to have many, but 0, I think we'll see some Florida tags before it's over with. By the way, if we do see Florida tags in this area, they're going to absolutely love the Pike County stretch of the interstate, aren't they? Don't get me... Look, off the air... I was going into a gripe session earlier, so don't get me started on that subject again. We talked about that earlier in the week. We're not going back down that particular path through the woods at the moment. Tomorrow? Who knows? I like Ronnie's comment from a minute ago. Running down some of the things, he said, after Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday news, I'm reluctant to check the news today. Well, I'm sure you've heard about one big news story, but we'll touch on it quickly when we come back on SuperTalk, Mississippi, Pike County.
We're from the country and we like it that way. Dr. Romance for Selman's Jewelers. For 75 years, Selman's has served the wonderful folks of this area with fine quality jewelry, watch, and giftware needs. From natural and lab-grown diamonds to baby goods, silver jewelry, and much more. Selman's Jewelers on Delaware Avenue has worked hard to provide you with quality, service, and value. Come see us today. Layaways and financing available. Selman's since 1945.
Don't miss Dave in the morning. Even when you miss it the first time, you can catch it on the podcast. Missing out would be a crime. Super Talk 93.5 is always the place to be. Want to get the podcast version? Here, my friend, is the key. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all around, it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, or just right there on the page. Dave in the morning, late at night, or anytime you have the crank. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com.
Weekday mornings at 6 after 9 on 93.5 FM, or you can catch up anytime by going to
SuperTalkPikeCounty.com.
Dave in the Morning at SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. Catch up and catch on. North Pike football is back. It's another exciting season of North Pike Jaguar football on SuperTalk Mississippi Pike County 93.5. Brought to you by Chick-fil-A, Toyota of Brookhaven, Ag Up, Exhaust Pro, Southwest Mississippi Regional Medical Center, Peterbilt of Macomb, and Lot Furniture. It's North Pike Jaguar football on the air at 93.5 FM. Available online at SuperTalkPikeCounty.com and through your Alexa devices. Quickly here, I know you've seen and heard the news by now of the New York City Mayor, Eric Adams, being indicted on federal charges. The feds raided the governor's mansion this morning, early in the morning, seized the mayor's cell phone and all sorts of other stuff. Now, he's saying it's because he started attacking the immigration policies and the fact that a lot of immigrants have just been dumped into New York. He is making noises very similar to some of the things we hear from former President Trump, to the point to where in his statement last night that he issued after the news broke he was being indicted, he said, "I knew when I stood up for you, I would make myself a target, and a target I have become." In terms of the essence of the message, that's very close to, they're coming for you, I'm just standing in the way. So he's going with a Trumpian message as he's being indicted on this. But I do want to point something out that you may not have noticed, and I want you to continue to pay attention for these things. Have you seen the number of people who have stepped down from their position, who have deleted all their social media, who have been let go, who are under investigation ever since the P. Diddy arrest happened? Sean Puffy Combs got arrested. You're familiar with the story, some wild, wacky details coming out of that. And we keep seeing more and more people who are just, the problems continue, and it's amazing how many of them have a connection to Diddy. Mayor Eric Adams, if you recall, this was news a couple of months ago. Previously, about a year ago, he had given Diddy the key to the city for New York. for all that he had done for New York. And then when he got arrested, right before he got arrested, actually, when the allegations were out there and the indictment was coming, Mayor Eric Adams asked Diddy to return the key to the city of New York, which he did. So there was a relationship there. I don't know of any relationship here, and I don't know if you heard this news, but this morning, in a surprise announcement, Hoda on the Today Show announced she's stepping down. The exact announcement from NBC, the headline on NBC News, Hoda Kotb will step down as co-anchor of NBC News Today Show. Her reason is, I'm 60. I need to spend more time with my family. Okay. Keep an eye out. Keep watching for the sheer number of people that are suddenly either vanishing, CEOs, politicians, whatever, that are just calling it quits and going home. You have to wonder. I'm sorry, I have a nasty, suspicious mind. You have to wonder, is there a connection? They worried something's happening? They worried somebody's coming after them? Not saying Hoda's involved in that, but boy, it's lousy timing. It's just strange, isn't it? A lot of people just calling it quits and vanishing, going home. You know, like half the board of OpenAI that has the ChatGPT artificial intelligence chatbot quit this week. Now, there were more visible reasons for them to do that, but you start looking, go look it up, go research. The number of highly placed people in companies, in government positions, in entertainment, who have either quit, stepped down, withdrawn, whatever you want to call it, or have already come under investigation, or at the bare minimum, very least, have deleted all of their social media content. Just wiped it out. This thing is going to get enormous, and it's going to get nasty before it's over with. It is. So keep watching. Connect those dots and see if you come up with anything. See if you notice anything. Just do some nosing around. You sit there and you doom scroll on Facebook all day, either laughing at stupid jokes that aren't that funny, or finding something to be upset about. Instead, open your browser, do a little detective work, do a little nosing around. You'll be amazed what you'll start to notice. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. That's why I'm not running down a big long list. I have one. I have one in front of me right here. But there is a difference between being told a lesson and digging out a lesson and learning it yourself. So just do some digging into that. If you have a spare moment, if you get bored at some point, you'll be amazed at the sheer number that are involved. Well, once again, I've used up the time.
Closing time.
It's amazing how quickly an hour can go, but we have bonus time tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I'm in for Gallo. I'm in for Paul on the Gallo Show. Starting at 6 a.m., Lance and I will take it over and take off. Starting at 6 a.m., So, just set your alarm a little bit earlier. I mean, heck, that's what, 20 hours from now, we're going to have 18 breaking stories to talk about, right? The way it seems to be going anyway. Have a wonderful day. 6 a.m. for the Gallo Show tomorrow morning, my friend. I'll see you then.
SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.